I'd like you to see two of the most fantastic objects that I brought here to the exhibit. These are an 1840 silk kerchief from the presidential campaign of William Henry Harrison, and an 1888, probably, he ran again in 1892, silk kerchief from the campaign of his grandson, Benjamin Harrison. Both of these very large in scale, both beautiful, and it's very interesting to note that in 1840, William Henry Harrison was the first man really to run for the White House. This is one of the first textiles ever made for political campaigning. And I want you to take a close look at the elements in it. Very rich color, which is kind of hard to see. Better here, more accurate from that angle. If you read the text on the kerchief, it says, General Harrison welcoming two of his old comrades in the glorious fields of Tippecanoe, an Indian battle that he participated in and became famous for, to his log cabin at North Bend. This log cabin was the first building erected on the North Bend diggings, with a barrel of cider outside and the door always open to the traveler. The background is a representation of the farmhouse which the old general had been able of late years to construct by many hard knocks and industry. And you have these wonderful barrels around the outside. Well, Harrison was hardly a commoner. His father had been a signer of the Declaration of Independence, a member of Second Continental Congress. He was governor of Virginia. So Harrison had plenty of money. And this thing that is being built in the background here was his house, which had 20 rooms, 13 fireplaces, and was every bit a mansion, especially for the Northwest Territory, where he had become governor, and this was in Indiana, his site from which he operated. So Democrat press at the time, yes, it existed then just like today, and papers were either Whig-leaning or Democrat-leaning. We like to think it wasn't that way, but it was, at least to a degree. They made fun of him because they knew that he was wealthy. And they tried to put him down by saying that if you gave Harrison $2,000 and a pension and a barrel of hard cider, he'd spend the rest of his days in a log cabin. The Whigs thought this was great and just ran with it because their opponent, a New Yorker, Martin Van Buren, was an aristocrat who really didn't come off well to the general populace. So they marketed him as a farmer, as a man who'd grown up in a log cabin, and just absolutely sold him to the average American, and he won the election in a landslide. There are no Van Buren textiles of any kind, and Democrats weren't really running yet for office, because before this time it was considered unbecoming of a gentleman to run for the White House. I guess that's changed. This textile below, huge in scale for the period, and bigger than any kerchief from William Henry Harrison, or from Benjamin Harrison that I've ever seen, is really saturated with beautiful imagery. The best Harrison portrait that I've ever seen. And even though his kerchiefs are probably the most common of any campaign at any time for the presidency, this is the most beautiful one that I've ever seen, and it's huge. Bigger than anything I know of, one of a kind, and what a tremendous pair. I'm very lucky to own them, and if you have any interest, feel free anytime to give me a call at 717-676-0545. This is one of only two known textiles, I should point out, here for William Henry Harrison. that are like this one that I've ever seen in the marketplace. There's one at Cornell, and there are two in the Chester County Historical Society, so there are a couple of institutionalized examples, but as for one that a private individual can own, I've only seen one other.